Smith County Board of Commissioners meeting is now in session. Honorable Mayor Jeff Mason presiding.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. Mr. Beller, would you lead us in prayer?
Yes, sir. Father, we humbly come before you. We give you glory. We give you honor. Father, I thank you tonight to give us wisdom and understanding to do your will, to do what you would have us do as a body, and what's best for each person. Father, we ask you to send ministering angels to those who are sick and afflicted, need healing. And we ask all this in your Son's precious and holy name. And all in agreement said.
Amen. All right. If you join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Do us a roll call, Miss Stacy.
Lydia Gregory. Here. Helen Bowes. Here. Terry Gibbons. Here. Billy Bass.
Here.
Freddie Kirby. Here. Charles Kent.
Here.
Lon Haskell.
Here.
Scotty Barrett.
Here.
Matt Enier.
Here.
Erica Ebel. Here. Cordell Smith.
Here.
Danny Irizarry. Stephen Leish.
Here.
Eddie Stout.
Here.
Casey Elrod.
Here.
Justin Malden.
Here.
Barry Cahoon.
Here.
Tommy Vane.
Here.
Junior Fields.
Here.
Connor McDonald.
Here.
Kim Beller.
Here.
Danny Huff. Ed De La Rosa.
Here.
22 present. Thank you. All right. Next is the approval of the minutes from the June 26, 2023 meeting. This time I'll take a motion to approve those minutes. Motion to approve, Casey. Second, Connor McDonald. I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any corrections? Or seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. Item number 6 is our announcements tonight. Mr. Art Haskins with Enbridge is here tonight to come talk to us about a pipeline project. Met with Art today. We've been in discussion, I guess, since 2020?
2021.
2021, couldn't remember, so. But you have the floor, sir.
I have a couple more packets if somebody else needs one. Art Haskins, I'm Manager of Stakeholder Engagement with Enbridge. Locally here, it's East Tennessee Natural Gas. So the East Tennessee Natural Gas System is part of our larger Enbridge system. We're an intrastate natural gas. We transport gas across the U.S. and locally here in Tennessee. East Tennessee system starts north and south of Nashville. A couple different lines that run over towards Knoxville, where they join up into one. That pipeline continues up all the way to Roanoke and has a branch that goes down into North Carolina. Most people don't know who Enbridge is, or East Tennessee, because we distribute gas. We make sure the gas gets to your local distributor. So if you get your natural gas from the city of Cookeville, or you get it from Middle Tennessee or Piedmont or whatever your local gas provider is, they get their gas from us. So we're the bigger company that moves the gas across the U.S. and then provides it locally here. The East Tennessee Natural Gas Pipeline System in this area was installed about 1950. It's been in service for a number of years. And you can see we've got the Enbridge's economic impact on Tennessee documented there. Talks about the bigger picture of Enbridge. You can see all the rest of that. Specifically, 2021, June of 2021, TVA announced their retirement plan for Kingston. They want to stop using coal, and they're looking for an option for replacement. One of their options for replacement is to replace the coal with gas-driven generators. If they do that, they would need more natural gas. Our existing system, the existing pipeline that's here, is fully subscribed, which means it's all contracted out. There is no extra gas available. So we would expand our pipeline system by looping or putting another pipeline in that same right-of-way. We would connect with our Texas Eastern system and a couple other pipelines over in Hartsville, and we would run that pipeline all the way down to just north of their plant, about well, and that project would provide the gas that's needed for TVA to continue to generate the electricity that's needed for this area. It pretty much, especially in this county, follows the existing right-of-way. There are a couple places along the whole entire 125 miles where there is a slight deviation, but for the most part, it follows that same pathway all the way through. We've started this process in 2021. We held landowner meetings in the fall of 21. We held open houses for the public after that. We've had an extra open house. We've done the FERC process. We started a pre-file process. We've met with a number of elected officials and others throughout the area and shared this information about the pipeline and what's going on. Spent quite a bit of time in Trousdale County because that's where we were looking originally. We've got only so many miles from where those pipelines interconnect to be able to put our compression station. So we're kind of looking in that general area. And that's where we're at right now. We just, TVA announced in May that their draft environmental impact study was completed. They looked at a couple different options, and their study showed that their preferred option is to do natural gas. They still have to comment, people have time to comment on their draft EIS. Next January, February timeframe, they're going to have their final EIS, and their board will make a record of decision. If that's natural gas, then our pipeline will continue its process. We have filed with the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission for our pipeline's approval, since we're an interstate natural gas pipeline, and it's managed by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, and they'll do the same thing, a NEPA process. They'll evaluate all the things we've looked at. We spent lots and lots of hours, man hours, over hundreds of man hours out in the field doing survey work. So not just survey for the route, but survey for species, endangered species. We've done bat surveys, we've done mussel surveys in waterways, looking for different types of invasive, or not only invasive, but at-risk flowers, all kinds of different things that you have to do these types of big energy projects. And we completed all that work and filed our regulatory filing with the FERC. On your paper there, the bottom part on the yellow where it says stay informed, that's the docket number, and also our landowner hotline. So if any landowners, and there are land agents, we've talked to many landowners already, but if any landowner has any concerns, they can call that number. If anybody else has some concerns, they can read it on the docket. All that information we filed is out there. Or they can follow up on the landowner, ridgeline.com, get a hold of us. My card's in your guys' handouts there. Find the information you need. Any questions? Construction. So timeline. So we're just starting our FERC process now. Sometime next spring, early summer, depending on within a year, FERC will have their draft EIS for this project, the pipeline portion of it. They'll be open for public comments. Early 25, FERC will make their record of decision and their final EIS. And then the fall of 2025, we'll start construction. A year later, the fall of 26, November 2026, it'll be in service pipeline moving gas to TVA, which matches their timeline of having their electrical generating station built. Any questions?
As far as the existing pipeline that's there now, it's been there for 70 years.
Yeah.
What kind of maintenance do y'all do on those lines? Because, of course, on the north side of the county, we had an explosion here a
Yes.
few years back. And was there any kind of, I mean, like I said, it's been there for 70 years. So is there?
Yeah, there is actually quite a bit of maintenance on that pipeline, and I'm well aware of the incident in 2018. So the way that we maintain a pipeline, there's a number of things. So first of all, the easement itself, right? So you can't plant over it, you can't build over it. We fly it every couple of weeks, so we make sure that nobody's gonna dig into it, nobody's doing work over the top of it. We mow the right of way every 3 years, that's a regulatory type of thing. And then, most importantly, we run what are called smart tools through the pipeline. And those keep increasing in quality and ability to look for different things. One of them is a geo tool, and it has little fingers inside there, and it looks for dents and ovalities or stress on the pipeline. So when it goes through there, it will find dents or damage to the pipe. And then there's two different other tools that look at more like an MRI type of thing. One is called a crack tool, and that looks for microscopic cracks at the micron level in the steel crystalline structure. The other one's a corrosion. So it looks for thinning of the walls of the pipeline. If it finds any of those things, then we go back in and do our integrity bidding cycle. If you're anywhere near the pipeline, you've been seeing that we'll dig it up. We'll dig up a section, and then we'll remove all the coating, do an ultrasound of it, just like you checking welds and that kind of stuff, or x-rays, and then we either cut that section out and replace it, or put a sleeve over the top of it and overweld that section. So that's our process. There was, in this case, hydrogen-induced cracking in the original manufacture back in 1950. The way that they joined the two halves of pipes together was to heat them up and fusion press them together. And there were some hydrogen bubbles that were created in the process, and it was this hydrogen-induced cracking in the manufactured pipe. We didn't have the tools to detect that at the time, and actually from that incident, we've learned more about pipes, and that information has been shared across the rest of all of the pipeline companies. And there's now a new smart tool that looks specifically for those types of weaknesses in the pipe wall. And we've done some cutouts of manufactured pipe that's of that same manufacturer, that same year type of thing. So it's not the whole pipe, it's not all from the same plant at most times. And we've addressed those issues. Yep.
How far apart are the pipes going to be?
20 to 25 feet.
Okay, and then are you going to be drilling and blasting, or are you using rock saws?
I know that there's a blasting plan, and there's also the other rocks and rock saws and everything else. It just depends on the area, but I know that there is a blasting plan, and obviously depends on the geology of the area in which they're doing the work. If there's a specific area that somebody's concerned with, I can get that information, but all of our geo surveys were part of our other survey where we got out and that kind of stuff.
Does looping mean that the two lines are actually connected somewhere? Or?
There are 3 connections between these 2 lines. So there'll be a connection, I don't know, forget the location. There's 3 connections anyways between the existing line and the new line that are there in case of emergencies. But there is part of an expansion of the system. But there's a flow differential between the 2 of them and the way that they operate. So for the most part, they're not going to run back and forth to each other. So there wasn't initially, as part of this process, there was what's called an open season, where we went out to all of the customers across the whole entire system, from that part all the way down past Monroe County, and asked, hey, does anybody else want to get in on this open season, or actually have to do a reverse open season too? Does anybody want to give up some capacity? And there was no other customers that wanted to be part of this expansion of the piping system.
And the right of way, as it stands now, is how many feet wide?
50 feet.
50 feet, and then the pipeline that's existing, is that in the center?
It's not. It usually has a 15-foot offset on one side and 35 on the other.
So there's not going to be a whole lot of land clearing in this process?
There will be still. There's not an expansion, for the most part, there's not an expansion of the easement, but there will be temporary workspace across the whole entirety of the pipeline. So it takes about 105, 110 feet or so, because we separate the topsoil, then you have the lower soil, and if you have to do any other work, and then you have to go to have space to string out the pipeline welded all the ends together, recoat them, and then lower them into the, well, pad it, lower them into the ditch, all that kind of stuff, and then test it, and then put all the stuff back. So it will take temporary workspace. So there will be, if there's trees that are up to the 50 foot, some of those trees will have to come down again. If there's other things, through the field and different areas, it will widen out to that 110 feet or so. If there's an area where we have to, because maybe it's a road to somebody's house or whatever, they can neck that down and just trench through that area with steel plates. Or there's a lot of different construction techniques, depending on how steep it is, all that kind of stuff. So, in fact, all those typicals are in that huge pile.
I was on some of the pipeline coming into Trisdale County back a few years ago. I can't remember what year it was. We done the blasting part of that, and they did use some rock saws. I guess in some places that going through creeks and those kinds of things around the roadways and things. But so the impact of the blasting, it'll still kind of be in that area, right? I mean, it taking all the elements of the environment.
It's all figured into there, and the same thing that there's a mandatory well and foundation surveys. There's FERC watches all of those things, as well as PHMSA, the Pipeline Hazardous Materials Safety Administration. All of our construction processes, our environmental processes are not only manufactured or followed by FERC and PHMSA, but also followed by TDEC. We have state permits, wildlife permits, U.S. Fish and Wildlife permits, Army Corps permits, air permits, everything. If there's something along that right of way, the number of eagles that are nesting on the right of way, all of that stuff is tracked.
Do you know how many parcels of land or homeowners the property you're going to have to cross to access your easement for this project?
I don't have that information specifically. They're working on those that are. So there are 1,100 or so landowners that currently have the pipe, but there will be additional landowners that are impacted as we maybe need a temporary access road or besides the access roads that are there, maybe a couple extra permanent access roads that we're going to acquire as part of this process. But it's not that many more than 1,100 that are across 125 miles already. In Roane County, specifically, where we have the new lateral that's all greenfield, there's I think only one landowner, Windrock, super giant landowner, but we have a negotiation with them for that one large parcel.
Are the homeowners going to receive any compensation or anything if you have to utilize their areas?
If we use their property as temporary workspace or as temporary access road, they should have already been contacted by a land agent, or will be contacted by a land agent. We not only did our initial surveys, but now we've been back to 70-some% of the landowners with an alignment sheet, showing them exactly where, if it's on the north side or the south side, or where our crossovers are from the existing pipeline, as that all goes through that property, down to the foot from the sun. And if there's an issue, maybe this tree is planted by my grandfather and we don't want that tree cut down, and we'll talk to our construction guys, and work with the land agent and the landowner and figure out, well, we've got a crossover here, can we move it back that way, those types of things. Yes?
Is there any funding or education that you guys do for local EMAs or fire departments, rescue squads, EMS for responding to any type of disaster that you guys, if something happens, they know how to respond to that?
Yeah. So on a regular basis, outside of this project, there is always in the state of Tennessee and all the other states, there is April 1 funded paradigm training for all fire and first responders. So if you're a firefighter and you're in the state, a lot of the first responders, there is already a paradigm training that goes on a regular basis every year. And we participate in that training. In addition to that, we have had for years and years our Safe Community Grant program, in which we give funds to first responders, anywhere the first level first responders, all Additionally, with our project, we have extra project dollars that also can go to first responders. So if there's a volunteer fire group that, hey, we don't have gas monitors, or we need some new bunker gear, or whatever. In fact, that is my regular job outside of project support, is to help manage that corporate citizenship program. So if there's firefighters, EMS, law enforcement, and they have needs, or think that they need something else to help do their job, we have workers that live currently and operate and drive through this area that live along the pipeline. And so anything that helps first responders on a regular, everyday basis helps our employees just like it helps everybody else in their community. So it's not about that the pipeline is any more hazardous or that anything like that. It really is about the fact that we have workers here and we want local first responders to be well prepared. But when it comes to additional things like, hey, we're building a brand new compressor station in Hartsville, if they are not prepared for that type of response, we want to make sure we work with them. If your local fire department has some needs, we want to work with them as well. And we do work with other groups, job training, economic development, environmental, STEM programs, leadership development training. So if there's something going on, leadership development wise, or just something that the community needs somewhere near the pipeline, we support all of those types of activities. In fact, at the end of this week, we're going to Deer Lodge, which is over in Morgan County, or their fire departments got together and we're giving them a $27,000 grant for them to get new bunker and turnout gear for those fire departments. And we were at the Cookville Community Health Center. No, excuse me, that's Cookville Restitution tomorrow, or Wednesday. Too many meetings this week. This morning we were at Hartsville Community Health Center and gave them did the big check, but actually lots of the regular funds in their account. We did that donation this morning. $10,000. Yep. That's a great question, and yes. So we do not only do we do soil depth of cover surveys. In fact, we've met with county extension agents along the whole route twice already, and asked them about, hey, how frequent should we do soil depth covers, and what's the right mix seed afterwards, and all that kind of stuff, and keeping them aware of the process. But we will we're required to map any haul roads, and that's what we're working on, like where our warehouse yards or where our construction contractor yards are going to be now. We're now doing some surveys for those areas. And then we'll look at, like, we cross through school zones, we cross through, whatever the areas at risk. But we'll also get a contractor who will drive the roads and look at videotape the roads. And if there's, we'll look at those before and after. And if we do damage, that's on us. We got to repair it. But we do process all of those things, and we look for mitigating, like if there's a way around it. We look for timing. We work with the local people about, people in the county, you guys, whatever we can do to manage those things. If you can, as I mentioned to the senator earlier today with the mayor, if it's, it's 25, that's going to be our home. There's really not another road around that area. We're going to go on that road. So if we're going to go on that road, it's going to get a lot of traffic from us, very joints of pipe. So once we drop all those off, then they'll move it into the right of way. But that's kind of the process. And there will be 3 spreads of work when they do the construction. So there'll be actually 4 different groups. One will be a group that just does the facility, the compressor station, and then our stations, the meters will receive between our connections. And the other, there'll be 3 groups, so pipeline steel pipe hundreds of miles maybe. Yep.
It says that the new electric compressor station is gonna be near Hartsville.
Yeah.
Is that in Charleston County?
It is in Trousdale County. Our proposed one at this time is in Trousdale County. We have an area that we've set as our proposed. It's just to the east of the city, off of Oak Dock Road. But with the new compressor that we purchased, we actually gained a couple more miles of hydraulic, which is weird to talk about hydraulics for a gas pipeline, but we could, and I didn't let the mayor know this, but we could actually locate our compressor station in Smith County. But we're also, you have to find a piece of land that's flat, not in a floodplain, doesn't have environmental issues, and is offered for sale.
You ain't gonna find it here.
But it could theoretically, initially with the old style electric compressors, we didn't think it could go that far, but we gained a couple more miles with this new hybrid system that's electrically driven, but it has a natural gas backup that's built into it. So it'll run off electricity. In fact, we're putting up 90 acres of solar panels with it. They'll offset about half of our electrical use at the max capacity during the day. And anyways, if there's something wrong with the electrical grid and we don't get the electricity that we need to run the compressor station, it'll have the ability to take some of the natural gas and spin the compressor that way. Because all the rest of the existing compressor stations from along this whole system are all gas free. Gas burns inside the system, spins a turbine just like a jet engine, and then that's connected and spins the compressor. That's why natural gas runs all the time, because it burns itself. And the gas that's flowing is very reliable, it doesn't vary, so it's not impacted by storms or tornadoes or any of that kind of stuff, right? It just keeps running.
Why wouldn't we use that system instead of putting a bunch of panels, solar panels?
Instead of putting the solar panels, it's the desire of TVA and our company to have it electrically driven, which gives us more flexibility for the future, whether we move towards a hydrogen or whatever other things are next generation. All of our companies, our company and TVA are trying to do the net zero from operations by 2050 and the intermediate stage 2035. So that's all part of the process. Yep.
What kind of impact is this going to have on our existing electrical grid?
This system, that would be a TVA question. I don't believe that there's any impact on it. We know that the main trunk line that TVA is using to send that electricity to, they've upgraded that or upgrading that. They'll drop it off to tri-counties, and then they'll have a short little piece, and that'll go to our substation. They're upgrading that system because that line is being upgraded from where or somewhere near there all the way into Nashville. Yep.
I was looking at the map here from Jackson County in Smith. Can you be a little bit more specific about exactly where that's going?
I can't on any maps that I have with me, but right where our existing pipeline is, it's going right there.
Which is? Can you be a little
North.
Pleasant Shade North, yeah, it comes
Old Town Road.
Drugs, on down.
comes up from Stone Branch, comes through Stone Branch that way and across to
If you want, I can
Pipeline
give
at
you
Dillahee Holland.
detail.
Yeah, Dillahee,
County map, county level
Kemper
map.
Highway.
Is there some way we can get what your feet would get us specifically? Something maybe the few people can send to me or get on our state mapper to see exactly what it is. They're not asking how to do the high property, and they see where y'all have an issue, and they're not interested in the property. It's an open field, I can't tell where that might be. Now, where it would, yeah, I can tell where it might be, but I can't tell that.
You'll pass it out.
That's not what I was told,
Yeah, I'll let you.
You're only gonna run natural gas through this line, right?
That's correct, only natural gas.
The 30-inch line is large enough to supply everybody on the line and the Kingston expansion, or does it need the 20?
It's only for the Kingston expansion. The existing pipeline will still stay in operation. No, theoretically, yes, there are crossovers, but it's pretty much a dedicated expansion of our system that'll get gas into the line. It takes 300,000 deciliters available capacity for PBA.
Do you know why they want to shut down the coal plant in order to go with gas?
I'm guessing it's the same reason that we want to be electrically driven and move towards the net zero. It's dramatically cleaner to burn natural gas than this coal, and there's no coal ash or any other problems that obviously that keeps has. It also, there's, again, you can read into the TVA thing, but natural gas is start and stop, start and stop. You can turn it on, turn it off. You don't have to heat the water and steam and all that kind of stuff. So it's really flexible is what that's how they turn it. There's a whole 500-page draft environmental impact study that TVA has available as well. So the 1,000+ pages that we have. Our gas comes primarily from the Ohio-Pennsylvania shale or Texas or the Gulf. So it used to all be from Texas, and now it's bi-directional. So wherever gas is available, it comes into our system. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. I think the first meeting I had with those guys, I said, "You're gonna try to run a pipeline in today's environment? That's interesting. Good luck with that." Thank y'all. All right, moving on. Next item is the election of the chairman and pro tem. This will be, we can elect it tonight, but it will not take effect until September the 1st. Or the first meeting in October, is that correct, Jeremy? Just want to make sure
If that's
what they want to do.
if that's how you want to do it. yeah.
Okay. So we can elect this tonight and it will take effect September the 1st, or we can come back and do this again in October. It's totally up to whatever y'all want to do. If you want to do it tonight, we'll do it. If not, we can wait and do it in October. I didn't realize that there is a statute that says you can't do it until September. We don't meet in September, and I thought it would be.
Well, it doesn't specifically say you can't. It says the statute says legislative body at its first session on or after September 1st each year shall elect.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily take into account doing it beforehand, but the intent is for it not to be effective until September 1st of each
Right.
year.
So what? Yeah. So if we do this tonight, it will take effect September the 1st. Okay.
Or both.
Or both. So if y'all want to, I will take a nominations for chairman of the Board of Commissioners. Chaz?
I'd like to nominate Jeff Mason for chairman.
Thank you. Any other? Okay. Any other nominations? Terry Gibbons. I think.
Make a motion that nomination cease, and then you may be elected chairman by acclamation.
All right, I have a motion with Justin and a second with Connor. All right, so we have a motion that nomination cease and I be elected by acclamation. Any question or discussion to that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thank you for your trust. I appreciate that. All right, next we will move on to the election of a chairman pro tem. At this time, I will take nominations for pro tem.
I nominate Chaz.
All right, have a nomination for Chaz and a second. Any other nominations?
I nominate Matthew
Matthew Inyard. Second was Junior. Okay. All right. Any other nominations? Junior. On Chaz was Tommy Banner. All right. Any other nominations?
Motion to cease nominations.
Okay. Have a motion to cease nominations? Second. All those in favor of nomination cease? Opposed? All right. All right, we will do a roll call and state the name of the one you want.
Lydia Gregory. Helen Bowes.
Jeff Benson.
Carrie Gibbons. Billy Bass. Grady Kirby.
Kent.
Chaz. Charles Kent.
Same.
Ron Pascal.
Inyard.
Scotty Barrett.
Inyard.
Matt Inyard. Erica Ebel.
Inyard.
Cordell Smith. Stephen Leish. Eddie Stout. Casey Elrod. Justin Malden.
Mr. Kent.
Barry Cahoon. Tommy Bain. Junior Fields. Connor McDonald.
Mr. Kent.
Kim Beller.
Mr. Kent.
Danny Huff. Ed De La Rosa.
Did you say Inyard or Kent? Inyard, okay. All right, it is 11-9 for Matt Inyard. Congratulations, Mr. Inyard. Thank you, Chaz, for serving the past years pro tem. We appreciate the work you did. All right, we got that done. Okay, the next item is in your packet, you do have a letter of resignation from Miss Stephanie McCaleb in District 3, so we will work to get a posting out and get some candidates to appoint in October. The next one is a letter of request from Judge Brandon Beller naming Mr. Wyatt Braden as a part-time judicial commissioner. At this time, I would take a motion to approve that. Junior Fields. Second. I have a motion and a second to approve that. Any questions or discussion on this nomination? All right, seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, is there any amendments to the agenda before we start?
I don't know if there was anybody for public comment, but when is that supposed to be on the agenda? Well, there's a note about it, but it's not actually listed anywhere.
All right, we can take, as soon as we lock the agenda, we'll go into asking for public comment. Do what?
We didn't have anyone sign up.
Okay. All right, have a motion and a second to add public comment. All those in favor? Opposed? All right, at this time, we'll roll into public comment. Have anybody signed up? Nobody has signed up for public comment, so seeing there is none, anybody that here want to speak that didn't sign up? All right, seeing none, we will move on to amending to the approval of the agenda. Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and second to approve the agenda as written. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda is set. All right, move on to item number 8 is the Smith County Mayor Report. Update you on a few grants, some good, some bad. The senior citizen grant did come through. We got $8,000 to do some capital improvements over there, so we got that this year. Didn't get it last year, so that's a good thing. I did receive word today that we did not get the grant for the inclusive playground. I was really hoping for that one. basically, I guess I asked for too much and they turned me down, so,
That's all it said in there?
yeah. Well, no, I didn't say nothing. It just said, these are the ones that got it. And that's coming from our grant writer. She said, only thing I can figure out is y'all asked for the max and nobody else did. I said, okay, well, so we will drop back and punt and try to figure out something on the playground. We got to get that done. You did receive an email from Miss Yvonne Gibbs on August the 15th from 1 to 3. There will be a live demo of the new voting machines that she is bringing in. She did want me to mention that to you guys, that it will be there tomorrow from 1 to 3 if you want to come by and check those out. That is all I've got for right now. Any questions for me? All right, seeing none, you have your financial reports and medical investigator quarterly report attachments. Any questions for Daisy? Or Mr. Bass? All right, seeing none, item number 9 is your committee reports. Those are just for presentation. Item number 10 is new business under approvals. Item number 1 is the Circuit Court, General Sessions Court, Sheriff's Office, Trustee's Office, Chancery Court, Register of Deeds, and County Clerk year-end financial reports. At this time, I would take a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Junior Fields, second, Matt Inyard. Any other questions or discussions on these? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. All right. Item number 2 is our committee list for the next year. Basically, no changes to that. We got kind of out of balance when you came on, so we moved you back to where you're supposed to be and all that. So we're back to, well, I had it at 12 and 12, and then Stacy said, oh, you got to take this one off because she resigned. I said, okay, never mind, we're back out of balance again. But we have that. One thing I did do is I took policy off from A and moved it to B and moved EMS law enforcement to A. Simple fact is, a lot of times we've been trying to do this policy review. It gets to A gets into budget amendments, and that takes 45, 50 minutes. Once that's done, nobody wants to talk about policy. We don't ever do anything and move them on. So hopefully, and then B, sometimes we don't have as much to talk about. So hopefully with that, we'll generate some more conversations in B. Any questions on those? Seeing none, I would take a motion to approve that committee list. Motion approved by Connor, second Matt. All right, motion and second to approve. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. All right, and under presentations, you have a CTO 253 debt obligation report for the CAT lease and a CD bid opening for the trustee's office. The CAT lease will be part of the resolutions.
No, this is the one from the landfill.
Oh, this is the one from landfill. Okay.
Just a report.
Just a report on that obligation of report. All right. So in that, okay, we'll move on to C, resolutions. Resolution 08-2023-01 is our regular budget amendments. Resolution 08-2023-1B is a general fund budget amendment, and it is coming from the clerk's office asking to take some of her reserve fund. Ms. Clifford, would you like to explain what you want to do?
It's where we print titles, the ones that the budget finance already knows. But where we print the titles, there's $3 of earmark money that goes into an account that can only be spent pertaining to printed titles. And the money's just sitting there. At this point, I think we have like 27 titles. And I just wanted to see if we could take part of that money and give my workers, I mean, wouldn't call it a bonus, but a supplement with their pay. Just what to spend that money. And then Jeff had spoke with me too about maybe taking some of it to fix up the office
Yeah.
too.
We talked about, since she has that money in there, we can use to redo her floors and paint her walls. Also, you're buying some computers and double screens.
Looks like the carpet's been in there since we was built.
It came with the arc, I'm pretty sure.
It's really bad. There's no cleaning.
Right.
But that's what I'm asking to do. It's not asking for any money, it's just asking to spend money and we have to see that.
Yeah, it's a reserve fund that can only be spent on her needs, and it would just sit there if we don't spend it, so that's what I did. I told her if she wanted to do that, I said, we can take some of that money and redo her office, and also you are buying computers and new double screens for all your stations. Okay.
Plus we have money, we have in budget for that too.
Okay. All right. And then also in budget amendment 2301 is, Mr. Terry Collins is asking to move money to add more time for his appraisal help to go to a quicker appraisal schedule. So Terry, if you want to discuss that.
Currently, we're on a 5-year system. Did reappraisal in 2022, we have to do it again in 2027. Some of you commissioners are pretty familiar with ratio. Ratio is what the real property is selling for, all the buildings and all the land, what it's selling for versus what we've got it appraised at. In a lot of counties, that's about 35 to 40% too low. So with the equalization, which is basically for the personal property and for the state assessed property, if we're 20% too low, then we have to knock 20% off personal property. So if you've got a business, you've got $100,000 worth of personal property, and you turn in a regular schedule, then you only have to pay on $80,000 if you have a regular schedule and you're not forced. Now, if you're forced, that increases 10%. But what happened is when you count state assessed property and that, you're looking at a lot of counties, 300,000-400,000 of our size shortfall, and you don't have enough growth with new houses to overcome that, or farms being split up, or whatever the case may be. There is a proposal going to come in when the legislature convenes in January, not at the special session, of doing away with ratios. And doing away with those is going to have to take both the act of Congress, and getting everybody to agree is probably going to be a very cumbersome thing, but they're looking at possibly doing a value update. Like we're going to go from a 5-year plan to a 4-year plan. In a 5-year plan, after 2 years you have to do a ratio, after 4 years you have to do a ratio. So if we're 20% too low, you can see the money that we're going to be losing. Same thing in 4 years, we could lose another 20%. So we could lose 40%. So if we had $10 million worth of personal property, that would go down to $6 million, which is a big hit. So we're trying to get away from the second. They encourage me not to go to a 4-year plan right now because the legislature is going to address that from January to June. What they encourage me to do is cram the review where we go and look at every parcel. We've got 13,000 parcels roughly in the county. Excuse me, that we go and look at those. So there's 3 years reviewing that we're doing in 2 years' time. So basically we're doing 1.5 years, which is around 4,500 parcels this year, which is from July 1st to June 30th next year. And then July 1st of the following year to June 30th. And then we're going to do reappraisal, which would knock us out of the second ratio, which is what a lot of people are trying to get away from. If they go to, on the 4-year, people that have the 4-year plans, then what they're going to do is in each quarter, I guess you would say, or, you know, when we go review, then they're going to update that area, whatever we are reviewing. That is one of the proposals out of about 25 that's on the table right now. You got to understand, I can't tell you what's going to happen until they, you know, change the law and make that part of. So that's the reason I'm having to hire a field guy more. I've got more mileage. Now the good thing for y'all or for our county is the more often you look at stuff, you're going to pick up more farm shops, you're going to pick up more renovations, you're going to pick up more additions, you know, all that stuff, which is going to bring us more revenue than what it's going to cost us. Daisy's got the cost on that, or approximate cost. You remember, Daisy, what that was?
Yes, it's $16,990.
So that's basically what it's going to cost us. Now, the mileage is going to be a little bit cheaper because instead of reviewing around 100 parcels per week, we're going to be looking at 150 parcels per week. So we're already out there and, you know, looking at it. And I'm asking for my field guy to work 2.5 days a week versus 2 days a week because of the extra load. The more, you know, what I put in and all that. That's the reason we're trying to go from a 5-year plan to a 4-year plan. I've got to present it to the State Board of Equalization, but we're going to do that after June 30th of next year, because we want to see what the state legislature does, because they're getting a lot of heat. For instance, in Sevier County, their ratio was 52%, so they lost 48% of their personal property. So if you had $1 million worth of personal property up there, Sevier County, and you had a regular account, you only had to pay on $520,000. You can tell what a big economic impact that's going to have. What I'm trying to do at least is get us not have to do the second ratio. And I don't think I'm going to have to add staff other than doing that, you know, which is very minimal for us cost to get to the 4-year plan. Now I'll have to present that to stakeholder equalization. We'll have to pass it just like we do the 5-year plan. We'll have to, you know, go through and rewrite the 4-year plan, which we presented to y'all. You'll have to approve it, and then we'll take it on to the state of Tennessee, which is the comptroller's office. They'll have to approve it, and then they'll forward it on the State Board of Equalization, who has the ultimate say on granting that. They won't let us go, according to, I talked to the chairman of the State Board of Equalization, from a 5-year plan to a 3-year plan to get completely away from ratios. They feel like that's too big of a jump for a county our size, and they feel like we would have to add 1 to 2 employees in order to do that. So, having said that, I don't want to get a plan where I don't know if greedy is the right word, but, you know, I want it to have a chance for us to pass, because it is quite a bit of work to make that 5-year plan now a 4-year plan. So any questions on what we're trying to do, why we're trying to do it? Go ahead, Connie.
So if we have enough time to wait to see what the General Assembly does, and if they don't do anything, we still can get from 5 to 4
Correct.
for the next ratio.
If we do go ahead and do the 1.5 year reviewing in a year,
right,
then we can. Okay. But probably can't do that if I try to do 2 years. If I wait till next July 1st and try to do 2 years review in 1 year. It's going to be not impossible, but hard to do.
You think this will kind of pay for itself? This,
yes.
You want to do this for about 6 months and then figure out where it's going, right?
Well, basically, what we do right now, I've got the approval from my regional supervisor in order to do that. We all met probably 8 or 10 times to come up with what's best for us. And they don't want us to present that this year and then them do away with ratios. So, but that's the reason we're trying to go ahead and be proactive on it, and go ahead and get that done to where we, you know, can be ready to take that step next year if the legislature doesn't pass where they do away with ratios.
Any other questions?
As you can tell, in that 4th year, if the economy, you know, the housing market continues to go up, losing 40% is going to be a tremendous hit for us. I don't think we can build enough houses to overcome that. So what's going to have to happen for you to generate that same tax revenue, you're going to raise the tax rate. That's basically the only other thing that I see that you can do. You know, you don't have a whole lot of options. It's going to be hard enough next year when we do that. That's the reason I'm hoping it'll pass in 2023, or, you know, start in 2024, and then take effect immediately. Which would be the best for us. Because if not, we're going to be like everybody else and hold the ratio at least for a year or 2, or they do something.
Any other questions? All right. Yes, sir.
For the reserve fund, I just want to make sure, because I know you've got other budgeting funds, and those funds can be used for anything related to the title printing. If you have those funds there, those can be used to anything title printing, I want to make sure that we've exhausted those funds for anything you have of need in advance. Before we go to the general funds, in my opinion, those funds are there, we should pull them first before we start going to property tax and stuff like that potentially, and try to, you know, be as frugal as we can. Is there anything in that you need office related that needs to come out of that fund first?
What's your question?
Do you have anything, I know, since this money is earmarked for specific things, I know it's available there, it's gotta be used for your staff. We just went through the property tax, the salary study. And so, I know the salary study wasn't the best thing. Y'all know through that whole process, I was an advocate of stick to the salary study, stick to the salary study was the best thing that we had. And now, see, we're doing salary supplements. I know that the money is there, but what I wanna make sure is that that money can't be used for something else of need first before we dish out salary supplements. So what I'm asking is, there's nothing else of need that you need to utilize this money for first before we give out?
At this time, because see, we have already budgeted for office equipment that we need, so, I mean, the money's there.
Right. And the way that I see it is, I know we budgeted money for office equipment, but what we probably should have done was say, hey, we're gonna take this office equipment out of this fund already, since it was there. We didn't know any better at the time, it was what it was. But going forward, if you have needs like that, look at taking it out of this fund first, you know, to make sure that we're not touching property tax and other revenue sources, and taking out of this fee. If we do this going forward, that's all I'm asking, can we get a commitment that we'll look at this fund first for any of those things going forward if we have needs?
Whatever the need be. That's just like, you know, taking the money out of that to do with the office, you know, the flooring and the, you know, whatever. You know,
Yeah.
and again, you know, the money's just sitting, you know, there's nothing else we, you know, can do with it. At this time, it's how much is in there, Daisy?
Well, there's a couple of different reserves related to the county clerk. One is currently balanced at $60,000 at June 30th, 23. The other one is one that they just started collecting in the 22-23 year that y'all had a balance of $21,000. Still working on year end, so that's not been verified, but I'm sure their records are correct. We usually match. And then the other reserve is for data processing, and they are currently using that reserve to pay for the software system in their office.
What's the amount of the bonus or whatever you call it?
What I had
And
asked
how often?
for, what I had asked for was twice a year, $1,000 twice a year for full-time employees.
Is that for just this year or for every year after this?
Depending on what's in the, I mean, if there's,
Just 1 year for
Just
right now.
yeah, just when you, I mean, it would have to be,
So we'd have to
yeah.
come back to it.
Because
You
if,
guys would have the
if you spent it all and didn't have it, it couldn't be reoccurring. Yeah.
But as long as it's been paid dollars, I mean, the money's just gonna keep building. And every week, we wait on people that's moved in here from different. And it's just, it keeps building and building and building, you know.
All right.
Employees, some of them keep, some of them keep that job. Tomorrow, probably making more than that.
And don't misunderstand what I said, I wish we could pay all of our employees. Everybody on this commission does, if we could, we would pay our employees. But we gotta live within the means of what we got. Motion to group and approve resolution 1B and 2.
Okay.
Second.
All right, I have a motion to group 1 and 2.
1B and 2.
1B, and 2. Okay.
Second.
All right, that's the highway one. So, okay, you're saying all three budget
It
resolutions.
says 1B and 2.
Gotcha. Okay, just checking, make sure. All right, I have a motion to group and approve. Any questions or discussions on that? Seeing none, roll call, Stacy.
Lydia Gregory? Yes. Ellen Bowes? Yes. Terry Givens?
Yes.
Billy Bass?
Yes.
Freddie Kirby?
Yes.
Charles Kent?
No.
Ron Pascal?
Yes.
Buddy Barrett? Matt Inyard?
Yes.
Erica Eagle? Yes. Cordell Smith?
Yes.
Stephen Leish?
Yes.
Betty Stout?
Yes.
Casey Elrod?
Yes.
Justin Malden?
Yes.
Barry Cahoon?
Yes.
Tommy Bain?
Yes.
Junior Fields,
Yes.
Hunter McDonald,
Yes.
Tim Ballard,
Yes.
Danny Huff,
Yes.
Ed De La Rosa,
Motion passes. All right. Item number 4 is Resolution 08-2023-03. It is a resolution to enter into a lease agreement for backhoes at the Highway Department.
I have one correction to resolution.
Okay.
We were able to negotiate for a 6.74 interest rate, so that needs to be updated.
Okay. So that interest rate changes to 6.74, okay? All right. Any other additions on that? So at this time, I would take a motion to approve Resolution 08-2303. Motion to approve, Chad, second, Matt Inyard. All right, I have a motion and a second to approve it. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call, Ms. Stacy.
Lydia Gregory,
Yes.
Helen Bose,
Yes.
Terry Gibbons,
Yes.
Willie Bass,
Yes.
Brenda Kirby,
Yes.
Charles Kent,
Yes.
Ron Haskell,
Yes.
Scotty Barrett,
Yes.
Matt Inyard,
Yes.
Erica Ebel, Cordell Smith,
Yes.
Stephen Leish,
Yes.
Eddie Stout, Casey Elrod,
Yes.
Justin Malden,
Yes.
Gary Cahoon,
Yes.
Tommy Bain,
Yes.
Junior Fields,
Yes.
Connor McDonald,
Yes.
Tim Ballard,
Yes.
Danny Huff, Ed De La Rosa,
Yes, all right, passes, thank you. Item number 5 is a resolution for the appointment of the Smith County genealogist historian. At this time, I would take a motion to approve that. Matt Inyard. Second, Casey Elrod. I have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 6 is Resolution 08-2023-05. It is a resolution extending the length of Vaden Lane. You have a resolution in there that kind of tells that. This came through steering A and was approved. At this time, I would take a motion to approve that. Motion approved, Junior Fields. Second, Matt Inyard. Any questions or discussions on this resolution? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item number 08-2306 is a resolution calling for a joint work session between the Smith County Board of Commissioners and the Smith County Board of Education on Monday, August the 8th here. This was a motion brought by Commissioner Malden and went through steering B with approval. At this time, I would take a motion to approve Resolution 08-2306. Motion to approve, second. I have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussions? August 28th, 2 weeks from today.
So, first off, I'll try to say this as nicely as I can. If you guys have any concerns or comments or anything, be brave and courageous and do it in this meeting, or do it in the committee meetings. You've got opinions and stuff, guys. I know sometimes we sit here and there's people who have thoughts and they don't want to be the one person or they don't want to be on the minority. Speak your minds, guys, okay? I just want to encourage you to do that. That's why you were elected and that's why you were put on this body. So, yeah, make sure that you speak your minds because I don't think that we do that enough. Now, with that said, I also don't want people going behind other people's backs and saying stuff or stirring the pot or putting things out there that are just not true. And I think as a result of this resolution that has happened. And I've had some conversations with people within the school system, with Director Smith himself, and they've got some concerns over this. I think some of these concerns have been exacerbated by some of the conversations that have been had, alleged conversations, I would say, by members of this body with other people. So we don't need to stir the pot. We don't need to be doing anything to make any more of an issue than there may be. There's members of this body that have concerns with the Board of Education. I understand that. We need to address them. But at the end of the day, it's not us versus them. It's not us versus the Board of Education. We are
all representatives of the county. We all need to be in what's for the best interest of the kids in this county. And at the end of the day, no matter what happens, we got to work together. That's ultimately what we have to do, is we have to work together. What my intention was when I brought this up is, as the commission, I don't want us to be a hammer. As a commission, I don't want us to try to walk around with a big stick. That's not what I want us to do. I want to have honest conversations and go to the table to discuss these things. If there's things that the commissioners have concerns and issues with, we need to ask them, we need to do it in an appropriate manner, and we need to do it in the right way. And I know that that is occurring, and so I just wanted to bring everybody together. Unfortunately, when I introduced this, apparently I stirred the pot unintentionally, and it was perceived in a different manner. You guys know me. I'll tell you one thing that I will not have questioned is my integrity and my character. I'll tell you what I think, and I'll tell you how I feel, and I'll be open and honest with you, and I try to do it in the most polite manner that I can. So I'm not going behind anybody's back. I'm not trying to do anything incorrectly. My goal with this entire thing was to bring the bodies together so that we can come to the table and address things, because it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened, and it hasn't happened for years. And I'm not pointing the finger at them. We need to point the finger at ourselves too, because it's happened on both sides, that we haven't had these discussions and we haven't had these talks, okay? It's not all their fault, okay? So I don't want that to come off that way. I'm not saying that it's because of them. This body hasn't done that too. So it's all the time. Local government has a problem kicking the can down the road and not addressing things as they come up, and then unfortunately drastic action are taken. But we need to look inwardly too when we're doing this and making sure that we're doing this the right way. So I want to have a true joint work session. That is what I want to see happen. I want to see us come together and do it the right way. After discussions with Director Smith, what he asked me is if we could, that date was not going to work, if we could come up with a few dates for them and go back to them and say, hey, as a commission, we're okay with these dates, and we try to work out and arrange one of those dates to work for you guys. If you guys would be willing to talk about that, if y'all are willing to look at the calendar, let's go, let's give them some time. I would like to meet, and I told Tim I would like to meet before we have our next committee meeting, September 25th, so that's a month away. If we could, we'll meet with them, we'll give them the time, we'll talk, we can, I don't mind if we address what issues and tell them ahead of time what issues we want to talk about and discuss. I don't have any problems with any of that. But we've got to talk, right? We've got to talk, we've got to be adults, we've got to do it the right way.
So you're saying that date's not gonna work?
That day, the day, I don't believe that date's gonna work. If we could come up with some date.
That date or any date?
We've got 32 different people between the commission
Right.
and we got 24 members of the commission, we got 8 members of the Board of Education. It's gonna be hard to get everybody to agree. We're not gonna come to 100% consensus, but if we can give them some options, that's what they're requesting. I don't think that they're asking too much, it's to give them a few days to try to pick from. They meet again tomorrow night. And maybe this will be discussed then, I'm not sure. But to give them a few options, of some days, that way they can try to make sure that they've got representatives there as well. It's not gonna do us any good to set a date and nobody shows up.
So I'd maybe make a motion to that in the resolution, because it does have a specific date.
That's what was asked for in the steering committee, yes.
That we just say something along the lines of that date would be set or something.
Was the school board contacted as far as the date goes?
I sent emails last week, but they've had less than a week's notice, so they have not had very much notice on that day. I know it's 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah.
So that date does not work, but that date does work.
I don't think that.
We don't know.
I don't think that day will work, from my understanding. I mean, we can put it on there as one of the dates too. I mean, if y'all want to do that.
We could just take the date out completely.
Do it?
I don't see why you necessarily have that date in there.
Why did they give you dates?
No, they asked us if I was asked to give them dates.
Okay,
So we can come
you
up with
did.
dates.
Can we just approve it without any dates and just ask?
That's what I'm saying,
either
just a
you
date.
That's
or
fine with me.
Vince
That's-
Get a date and just send us an email and say this is what it is.
Cordell has his hand up.
All right, well, I got something to say. We've given them opportunity after opportunity to show up and meet us. And every time, they thumbed their nose at us and said, no, I ain't coming. You know this. Mayor knows. Why not put a hard date and say you either here or you not, and then we're gonna move on to something else. Instead of sitting around here playing games with these jokers, let's do what we gotta do. Every one of us was elected to represent our community and do the best we could by our community. We have done everything in our power to make this right. But instead, what does the school board do? No, we ain't got to. The stuff's getting old. I told you in the last meeting, it started with us. If it was gonna get took care of, it was gonna be us that did it. Now, this stuff keeps on jumping around. Hey, will y'all please come fix? Will you talk to me? Will you let me look at your records? Public records, might I add, that they're refusing to let us see. This game stuff we're doing, y'all know it ain't right. And all I ask, examine yourself and come up with an answer that you can live with and sleep with at night. These people are getting over on us, and they have been, just like Justin said. You know, it does start with us and with them. We put forth our effort to sit and talk to them. I went and talked to them, I've asked for records. Not gonna give it to us. Why do we not as a commission put a hard date down there and say either be here on the 28th or we're gonna proceed with something else? Why could we not do that? This has been going on too long, y'all. And if anybody's gonna be to blame, it's on our watch. We're the one carrying the burden of this to make a wrong right. They don't want to meet with us after we tell them the 28th, then we'll do some other things. They can't just tie our hands behind their back and expect us to like it.
I will say this, if we go in with an attitude, guys, a hostile attitude, why would anybody come to the table?
We've had a agreeable line of communication with them. Because I talked to them myself nicely, and I could ask somebody to talk to me. And every time he thumbed his nose, not only at me, I can guarantee you there was 100 and something people that filled out request forms to see, and he thumbed his nose. And now he's trying to say that he ain't got enough time to talk to us. Ain't going for that. He can make time just like we can. He's a public official just like we are. And if we tell him to be there, then he ought to be there.
Any other, so, yes, sir.
Has there been any other resolution for a joint session meeting with the school board?
Not in my time, no. I think they did one before I came in.
Yeah, we did one in 2018, that was about school resource officers. So there. It's the day after my son's birthday.
Okay.
It's okay.
I say while we're all together, we come up with 2 or 3 dates anyway. I mean, just so we know we're good, and then let them pick. If we're gonna go with that, if we're gonna go with Cordell, that's fine. But if we're gonna go with pick a few dates, I say we pick a few dates since we're all together. That
All right, so
somebody might be on vacation.
Erica made a motion to, what was your motion?
Why did I make a motion?
Okay.
I just said we need to amend it.
Well, that's, okay. Is there a motion to amend it as written?
Yes, motion to amend.
Motion to amend.
To what?
To what?
Oh, to take out the date.
Okay.
Completely?
Take out the date completely, or
Board put in multiple dates and they have to respond.
okay. It's going,
Could we put at a time on or before a specific date?
Yeah, but if you do that, you're gonna have 3 weeks here.
yeah.
And now what if you get into, they say this date, and you get 20 of us that say.
Can't do it.
I'm not saying
How
that
about
would
we do
happen.
this? How about we pick one Monday, one Tuesday, one Thursday? That way it's a different day of the week.
Amen. Do it.
We can pick different, you know, we can pick put them in different weeks, but at least that spreads it out. Gives the opportunity. That way somebody normally does something on Monday, you know, gives a little bit more.
So what about if we go 28th, 5th, 14th? That work for y'all? And that'll get it before, just wants to go, if you want it before the committee, right?
Could we not just do it on the school board meeting now? Or they're gonna be there anyway?
Well, you want them to come to us, right?
As long as we all get together, it don't matter where we go.
I think they were thinking.
Motion to amend to set the option of dates for the Board of Education on Monday, August 28th, Tuesday, September 12th, and Thursday, September 21st.
Tuesday, 12.
12?
Yes, September 12th. I don't want to do the Tuesday after Labor Day. Thursday, the 21st. Our next meeting will be then.
When do we meet again? You know,
8/28, 9/12, 9/21. Second.
Okay. All right. So I have a motion to change those to that. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All right. This motion is to amend the current resolution to take the 28th out and add 3 dates.
Not take the 28th out.
Add 2 days.
Either, yeah.
Add 2 days.
Give them the option.
Yeah, give them option of 3 days.
21st.
Okay.
So
So-
what you're saying is it's not gonna be set.
It's gonna,
They're gonna pick which day works best for them.
So we're gonna give them 3 days. They're gonna elect the date and then they're gonna come to us.
Yes.
all said.
Yeah.
I want to make sure.
so,
Yeah, I think, yeah, work for everybody.
and then take a motion.
I just like to put it in there, the only thing I'm saying.
Okay. All right, so
That's
we'll.
what it was before, though. We'll go into these, that's right.
Yeah. Okay, so it, go ahead.
Who's gonna,
Do I need, yeah, do I?
who's gonna coordinate that and how, and when do you need to know by?
Because we do have to get public notice, right?
It's a work
Work
session.
session, you not.
They meet tomorrow.
That gives the leeway to.
Yeah, but I don't ever get
Needs to, either Jeff or
I mean, they'll come back.
Justin, whoever can.
So do we need, well, let's, all right. Let's get it, we don't even know if it's gonna pass yet. Let's worry about that, let's pass
We
it.
have to check the Ag Center calendar as well.
Yeah, we need to look at the Ag Center calendar as well. But,
Yes, yeah. And if we need to do it, I don't mind doing it at the Board of Education, if they wanna do that, I don't care, as long as it gets done. I just want it to get done, guys, and that's the thing. And I will say this too, the way the resolution is written may have came off, the perception and the way that people receive the resolution may not have been the best. The resolution is just words on paper, okay? The intent is just to get us together and to talk, okay, and to address things, because it needs to be done. I don't care what's written in this resolution, how it is, we just need to get together. We could, I don't mind doing away with the resolution and just making a verbal motion to do this. If that's what we need to do too. It doesn't have to be verbatim what's in this resolution.
And to address your question earlier, I think the last paragraph says the chairman of the board of
Yeah.
commissioners delivers a copy of this resolution to the chairman of the board of education.
okay. All right, we can do it. All right, so we have a motion and a second to amend it to add those 3 dates. At this time, all those in favor of the motion to amend? Opposed? All right. Now, being that, I will take a motion to approve the resolution with the amendment.
Motion to approve as amended.
Okay? Second. Motion and a second. Justin, any questions or discussions on this resolution now?
I'll just say, I agree with Justin that this is, if we can't figure out a way to work together, we're headed for a train wreck. And there have been counties where we may already be close to being there, and we've got to open that dialogue because we both do have our own spheres of control, where we are in control of a lot of funds here at the county. They receive a ton of funds that we don't have any control over, and they get to set their own budget and set lines that we can't go in and edit. And, expansion in the future, building new schools, there's a lot of things where these two bodies have to work together, and if we don't, the people who are going to suffer are mostly going to be the teachers and the kids who go to school, and that's unacceptable. So if it means we maybe have to swallow our pride for just a second to give them multiple dates, then, you know, we need to do what we've got to do, but at the end of the day, we've got to figure out a way to work together, which is why I think this is a great start to starting that dialogue between the two bodies.
Okay. Any other discussion? Yeah.
I just want to say, I'm like Connor and Dustin and everybody. I want us to come together and, as new commissioner, I want to learn what we can do to help each other become stronger. And when we do become in a room together, where we, you know, everybody knows we're here to help each other. So I think this work session is going to be good, but like just with a good positive attitude going in, be like, hey, what do we need to do to be stronger as Smith County, not the division?
That's great.
If and or when this comes about, will it be open to the public?
It can be, yes. We don't have to announce it, don't have to advertise it. And there's no action can take that. It's more of just a coming together and discuss. It's a work session just like we did with the budget. It's just coming together and discussion. Matt, I got Matt.
I think this is a great start, and I think if anything, this is something that we need to start doing on a more regular basis with these two bodies. So that we can have better relationships all the way around.
Mr. Cordell?
If we get a date set and it's open for the public, will they be able to speak and ask questions, sir?
They don't have to. You can, if that's what you want, if you want that, then I serve at the will of your body. We will write and do what you ask us to do to add into that meeting. I don't think that would be productive at all, just my opinion. I think it needs to start with just the two bodies discussing. But, because the time for public comment comes because we offer it, they have to offer it just the same as we do at their meetings.
And it's not subject to that being public on the law.
Right, a work session is not, no. So,
And I'm fine with it being publicly advertised and open to the public.
right, yeah, we're not.
We don't have anything to hide.
No.
There's nothing bad
No.
going on. So anybody would be more than welcome to come.
I just think you got, like it's been stated many times, a discussion between those two bodies.
And the thing is that I want us all to remember, and I'm looking here at Jeff and Daisy and Terry and Julie and Sheriff and Mickey and all these people. I ask a ton of questions. So y'all all know this, okay? Okay, because y'all, it's just what I do, right? Because I'm the guy that needs to know what's going on, and I'm a facts and data-driven guy. That's what I need. I need that information because I can't make an informed decision or know what I need to do unless I have that information. So that's just what I do, and that's what our job is as the commissioner. I'm not saying that I want to roll in there and tell the Board of Education what to do. It's not my job to tell them what to do. But it is our job to know what's going on, right? I mean, that's our job is to know what's happening in this county. You know, so again, just how I am, and y'all laugh at me because, and everybody here laughs because they know it's true. I made a joke with Daisy before we even started this meeting that I had a question for her, right? You know, but it is our job to be aware to know if we don't know what's going on, we don't know how we can serve them. We don't know what their future plans are, what we need to be thinking about to help them plan and for us in the future. Maybe there's going to be budgeting and funds that need to come up or whatever it may be. We got to know those things in order to be able to accomplish their goals, to help them with their goals. Because it is a partnership. We are the county. And that's the thing. We got to get out of the mindset that we're in separate corners of the ring and it's not a boxing match. We're partners in it.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or discussions before we vote on this resolution? Mr. Cordell?
If we get, he thumbs his nose at us again, where do we stand then?
That'll be a discussion y'all will have to have at that point in time. It probably in steering committees or the next committee meeting. You have to explore your options after that. Any other questions or discussion? Yes, sir.
I'd rather not have it public. I'd rather we just us, everybody else in it. Because I've had a lot of people come to me, ain't on the school board, ain't on the board, hollering. That's what you'll have, okay? Somebody coming there and trying to, we
We won't be able to ask questions.
Right.
They'll be wanting to talk and ask questions.
That's why he asked about public comment, and I think it would be better if,
Maybe later, but not,
right.
not what we right now.
I don't think we need to shield it from the public, because the public's gonna have.
No, I don't think you can I mean, it'll be known that that's happening, and they just need to understand that there will be no time for public comment that night, and, you know, if you act out, you will be asked to leave, because, because you don't wanna throw gas on a fire that, you know, you just wanna, this needs to be as smooth and professional as possible can be. Because I don't think you guys and them are that far apart. I think there's never been that dialogue that needed to happen. I think in this, if you get in the same room and discuss, then that takes all of the, well, I heard you said this, or I heard she said that, or I heard she did that, and that's going on both sides. This way, it's all on the open, and it's a discussion between the bodies. That night, I just asked Jeremy, with it being a joint, somebody will be elected chairman, and it will not be me. So it needs to be coming from one of y'all or one of them, and I'll be over to the side. Because, like I said, I serve as chairman at this meal. We'll set the meal, and then I get out of the way. Because, you know, this is y'all's discussion with them. Y'all are sister organization or brother sister organizations that need to work together or come to a solution that makes you work together. So. Yes, ma'am. Okay. All right, call the person second. All right, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we will craft a letter in the morning, deliver it to them tomorrow, asking with the 3 dates.
And a copy of the resolution.
And a copy of the resolution. Done. Okay, all right, moving on. Lost my place. Notaries. All right. I would take a motion to approve motion to approve. Second. Motion and a second to approve. All those in favor? Opposed? Who's second? Eddie Stout, I think. Great. Leading. Yeah. Pick one. Yeah. All right. Those are approved. Any other business before we adjourn? Seeing none, I take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Cordell. All right. I motion second. All those in favor? You are adjourned.